Ladies and gentlemen, I request you to please take your seats. We have an important session coming up with a VIP speaker from India. The subject of our talk today is challenges in the northeast of India, needs and challenges for police and homeland security technology upgrade. I may mention that we have with us today Dr. Mukul Sangma, the Honorable Chief Minister of Meghalaya, one of the 7 northeastern states of India. Before I introduce Dr. Mukul Sangma, may I, on behalf of the organizers, thank him for sparing his very valuable time and for being here with us today. I may mention that he has flown in from India, especially for this particular session, and I think that indeed is a great honor for us in Security Watch India and Security Watch UK, as well as the organizers of Securing Asia 2012. His presence here is a great source of encouragement for all of us. Now a little introduction about Dr. Mukul Sangma before I request him to come and address this gathering. Dr. Sangma practiced medicine for 3 years in his early days, that is from 1991-93, and is a holder of a degree in medicine. He was both a private practitioner and a member of the government medical and health services in the state of Meghalaya. In 1993, Dr. Sangma joined active politics and was elected as a member of the Meghalaya Legislative Assembly. He was the parliamentary secretary for the government of Meghalaya from 1996 to 98. He thereafter served as cabinet minister and deputy chief minister of Meghalaya on several occasions from 1998 to 2005 and between 2005 and 2010. He held very important portfolios in the state administration, including home and police, and that I think is an asset when he speaks to us today. Information technology as well, power, particularly renewable sources of power, finance, and many other portfolios. I have just named a few. He became chief minister in April 2010, if I'm right, sir. And he campaigns actively to promote social awareness and socio-economic advancement of women, youth development programs, and empowerment of people and local traditional institutions, of which we have many in the Northeast. He belongs to the Indian National Congress and has held various party positions, including the highest, that is General Secretary of the State Congress from 2000 till date. He has indeed a wealth of experience, as you would see, and I do believe that his address is going to be extremely interesting. After Dr. Sangma's speech, we could have some time for interaction. May I now invite you, sir, to come and address this gathering.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at the very outset, let me convey my personal greetings and the greetings from the people of my beautiful state of Meghalaya. I believe most of you know that there is a place called Northeast India, but to have a little correction, we have 8 sisters now, including Sikkim. Yeah, so we are 8 states. And Meghalaya is one of them. And I come from Shillong, I should say one of the most beautiful hill stations in the world. And till 1911, when British had their capital in Kolkata, Shillong was unofficial summer capital. So I'm sure why our friends from Britain can actually might have chosen Shillong. It's amazing, beautiful. It's one of the hill stations which is really, really rare. I had the privilege of seeing most of the beautiful hill stations in the world, but I'll share with you that Shillong still remains as one of the most beautiful. So let me take this privilege to invite all of you to my beautiful state. And please tell your friends that there was a chief minister who have invited all of you. So even if you can't go, kindly send your friends and let them see the beautiful part of India. And then you will know in reality as to what are the ground realities there and what can be the challenges. Friends, I should thank the organizers for having invited me, for having given me this privilege. And since I understood correctly that this is something which is going to enlighten me, I have come here. So rather, instead of doing the talking, I thought I would be here to listen and enlighten myself, equip myself with all the informations vis-a-vis various advancement that has taken place in the context of technology. And that's the reason why I took time to come earlier. I had the privilege of listening to a few of the experts. And when I'm talking to all of you, I'm sure I'm only going to share what I will be sharing as a policymaker. As a policymaker, actually, we'll end up structuring our policies based on the resources that is available. Often we become very stingy while deciding. So to know that technologies do exist, and if you have to use technology, we also have to spend. We have been debating on this on a number of occasions, and lately this engagement with Government of India has been much more pronounced and much more active. And as you know, over the years, there has been an increasing awareness about the transnational character and global reach of terrorism, and awareness that fighting terrorism has to be shared responsibility of every state in a country like ours, and also shared responsibility of every nation. There is also the increasing awareness among the global community, as is also in my country, that terrorist organizations of today have footprints in multiple countries and have the capacity to unleash violence across borders and boundaries. India, as you see, have been fighting terrorism and insurgencies for last several decades. Our country faces many threats from terrorism, both homegrown and transnational. This can be broadly categorized into three. Number one being threats from the jihadi terrorism, as you all are aware, perpetrated by fundamentalist forces. And number two being left-wing extremism, and the third being insurgency and militancy in certain parts of the country to which I belong, the northeastern part of the country. Endemic insurgencies in India's northeast has been one of the major challenges to peace and development of the region and had its own ramification. Further, with the Golden Crescent and the Golden Triangle in India's neighborhood, the problem of drug trafficking also poses threat to our security. Needless to say, a good part of the funds generated through this kind of drug trafficking and other illegal activities is also recycled into gun running and terrorism. In a democratic system like ours, conflicts between groups and identities are bound to happen. Usually, the institutions of democratic system are expected to harmonize these conflicts in a peaceful manner through adoption of appropriate policy. Where these institutions fail to harmonize or reconcile the conflicting interests, violence and unrest becomes inevitable. Forces inimical to the state usually take advantage of this situation by giving material and ideological support to vulnerable groups. Through subversive propaganda, such forces generate and nurture a sense of grievances amongst various vulnerable sections of the society who practically become pawns in their hands to subvert the stability and security of the country. The process of economic development is seriously hampered in areas affected by this kind of insurgency and militancy, where developmental funds are siphoned off at the cost of delivery of basic social services and infrastructure, thereby affecting the overall growth of the region. In such a situation, there is a danger that the common people who are victims of such a situation could get further alienated. The militant and extremist forces thrive in such an environment. This, of course, is a paradoxical situation, and it is imperative upon the government to come over this vicious cycle of underdevelopment and militancy by carefully calibrating investments in both development and security. All along, as I have earlier shared, that our investment strategy has been too tilted only towards development and ignoring the actual need for investment in strengthening the internal security apparatus. A relook and revisit to this is in the offing. The terrorists also take advantage of our systemic constraints. The police forces in a democratic setup have to work within the existing legal framework and need to not only follow the law of the land, but also ensure that there are no human rights violations while countering the terrorist activities. Terrorist, extremist, and insurgent groups, of course, do not face such constraints, and they take full advantage of the situation. In the above context, the effective management of internal security assumes great importance. Government of India at the federal level, as well as the states in the northeastern part of our country, have been taking steps to reduce ethnic and social inequalities, disparities in opportunities, and for creating appropriate machinery for the redressal of public grievances and to minimize, as far as possible, the root causes of militancy and strife. It has been our endeavor to reduce economic deprivation and improve the delivery of essential services to the common man at the optimum level with the involvement of the community themselves. Today, there is a perceived feeling that unless there is a complete involvement of the people in the matter of development activities, then the negative forces can actually take advantage of the situation and further aggravate the negative vicious cycle. Therefore, in order to infuse confidence in the minds of the people, our commitment to re-strategize investment, to reach out to the people with their complete involvement and creating better sustainable opportunities is one of the agenda of the government. The need for a well-coordinated security apparatus, both at the federal and at the state level, can hardly be overemphasized. There is an existing mechanism for coordination between the police, the paramilitary forces, the army, and the intelligence agencies. Today, there is a definite appreciation that internal security problems should not be treated as merely law and order issues, and there is an increasing awareness that they should be dealt with comprehensively in all their dimensions and at all levels, political, economic, and social. The country is in the process of evolving comprehensive security policy, taking into all account all the complexities that are inherent to a thriving democracy. Friends, following the 26/11 terrorist attacks at Mumbai, the country has further streamlined its counterinsurgency capabilities and infrastructure. We have been able to significantly protect ourselves and reduce our vulnerabilities against the acts of transnational terrorist groups. We are also taking steps to put in place the right kind of legislative framework to strengthen the hands of the security forces. The need for upgradation and modernization of the security apparatus is strongly felt, and all efforts are on to raise our level of preparedness against terrorism and other challenges to our homeland security. It's our considered opinion that our country needs to concentrate on a number of strategic priorities. The first priority would be, of course, prevention of terrorist attacks, irrespective of the source of threat. An equally important priority would be to improve our intelligence and counter-terrorism capabilities and reduce the nation's vulnerability to terrorism, leveraging upon the experiences and the available technologies. We also need to raise the level of protection of our critical infrastructure, which are considered vulnerable to terrorist attacks. The need for police and law enforcement agencies to stay current with ongoing technological developments require no emphasis. Our police forces need not only be aware of developing technology, but they should also have a good knowledge of what such technology can do for requirements of day-to-day policing and to enhance their professionalism. India, with a population of over 1.2 billion, has a substantially large police and law enforcement machinery. The demand for equipment, weaponry, and security technology in this country is also substantially large. Technology needs to be leveraged in upgrading the skills and capabilities of the police, intelligence community, and paramilitary forces. This would include technology for upgrading intelligence capabilities, physical security related technologies, technology for border, as we share long borders in the northeastern part, aviation and maritime security infrastructure, technology for emergency and disaster management, as well as communication technology, to name only a few. There is a growing demand for data mining, software, and specialized devices for intercepting communication signals with specific tools that can compare and analyze multiple information streams. Another critical area for modernization is in the field of communications. The right communication systems are critical in the law enforcement scenario. The advances made in recent years in the wireless and digital world have made this tool truly invaluable. Today, police and security agencies can share pictures of suspects, criminal records, fingerprints, and surveillance data across the country, of which all you are aware, on a real-time basis. While talking about communication technology, it is also important to keep in mind the need for interoperability capabilities of the system. It is important that the systems and officers are in a position to talk to each other, regardless of the operating architecture. And as far as information security is concerned, it is imperative that we develop an information infrastructure which would be much less vulnerable, with a view to enhancing security and reducing the impact of security breaches. There is also an urgent need to see that the vulnerabilities in the communications and computing infrastructure of the nation receive focused attention. Hitherto, we confronted terrorist threats only in the physical space. Today, there are terrorist threats in the cyberspace. Much of our critical infrastructure lies in cyberspace. Cyber crimes such as hacking, financial fraud, data theft, espionage, etc., would in certain circumstances amount to terrorist acts. Friends, I have been asked to specifically speak on the technology requirements of our country.